Hey guys, Persona 5 Royal is a top tier game in every aspect that you must play, and now I will tell you why. So, the game is divided into two types of gameplay: as a high school student living his daily life, and as a phantom thief who changed people's hearts. It's worth starting piece how unique and unusual the system built around the daily life of our main character is. In Persona 5 you need to wisely choose what you want to do on a given day and what you currently need to level up at this moment or who to spend time with. You can work on upgrading social characteristics, namely knowledge, charm, guts, kindness and proficiency. Each of them is leveled up in a specific way, mainly through various activities like going to the movies, reading books, part-time job and other activities needed for a specific characteristic. It's also neat noting that different activities can award different amounts of points under different conditions. For example, studying in the rain awards more knowledge points. There are also activities that don't waste time but still award points, like watering a plant in your room. The leveling must be structured so that given a point in the game the required characteristic is sufficiently leveled up. Otherwise, if the pumping is low, access to developing relationships with the character may be unavailable at that moment. And this is quite logically, because it is unlikely that you can undertake a dangerous task without sufficient guts, or that a person who in principle finds it very difficult to trust others will not communicate with you if your kindness is not enough developed. You will also have to take exams several times in the game, and just like in real life, to get higher score you need to have as much knowledge as possible. Besides the developing social characteristics, it's necessary to increase your relationships with confidence, and honestly this is done absolutely brilliantly. Almost every confidant is truly interesting as an individual. I genuinely wanted to spend time with each of them, get to know them, and solve their problems. Each of them has their own temper that is very different from everyone else, often not the best, but unique. This system also makes practical sense as each confidence gives you specific, sometimes extremely useful skills. For example, Ryuji gives the skill to insta-kill easy opponents at level 7 of relationship, or 2 and 4 level of relationship with Akechi give you a chance to figure out the enemy's weaknesses. And of course, first of all, it's worth leveling up your relationship with Kawakami, who is the most useful confidant in the game. Overall, the confidant system is very cool. Even if there were few benefits for developing relationships, it would still be one of my favorite parts of this game. It was happy for me to communicate with those who gradually begin to reveal the depth of their personality to me, with those who were so kind and sincere for me, those who later get to know me more than others and will be with me in any case. The development of relationships with some of the confidants is truly touching, especially in the later stages of their relationship, as if these characters became real friends.
Either way, it's my turn now. If anything comes up, you tell me. I'll help you with whatever you need.
I am thou, thou art I. Thou hast turned a vow into a blood oath. Thy bond shall become the wings of rebellion and break the yoke of thy heart. Thou hast awakened to the ultimate secret of the chariot, granting thee infinite power.
Alright. Alright.
Now, let's talk about more exciting things: the game's combat system and its features. The game's combat system is primarily practiced in two places: Mementos and Both Palaces. Persona features turn-based combat, in which the player must target their opponent's weak point. Almost every enemy in the game has their own specific weaknesses. This is what you must use, as knowing down an enemy gives you the opportunity to gain one more turn. You can then further attack the enemy's weakness, either through the button pass mechanic, passing the attack to an ally to boost their attack to deal even more damage, or using a different attack to knock down another enemy. When all enemies are knocked down, you can perform an
All-out attack!
causing massive damage or continue attacking the defeated enemies. Also, opponents have sustainability, most often two opposite elements, and they have resist or null or repel that causes damage to you or drain you, to which the opponent can heal. As you get new personas, you too will have the opportunity to gain all these types of resistances. But the most interesting thing is that when you first meet any opponent, you don't know what resistances and weaknesses the enemy has, and you have to guess how to find these weaknesses by improvising on the enemy's attacks and probably on the face of the moon. Some opponents may not have any weaknesses, which is why you have to come up with tactics to knock down them. You can put the opponent into a state of freeze, sleep or forget and other status effects so that the opponent misses a turn. When you fight with a difficult enemy, the best outcome is when he can't move at all, which is why it's necessary to apply status effects that limit the enemy's moves. Applying status effects allows some elements or physical damage to cause large technical damage. With proper use of technical damage, even very difficult opponents and even some bosses can lose all their health in just a few turns, with the exception of some. Also, technical damage has a fairly high chance of knocking down an enemy, even if the enemy has no weaknesses to it. This way you can first deal massive technical damage, after which you can perform an all-out attack if all enemies are defeated, or use button pass to boost the attack and deal even more damage if the technical damage is still in effect. And of course, it's worth mentioning skills that weaken enemy skills or defenses or boost those of allies. For example, a skill that decreases attack for 4 is very useful during boss battles, as sometimes fights last quite a long time and you may simply not have enough health to survive a powerful enemy attack. This is especially useful early in the game when other skills are few. As the story progresses, will be unlocked showtime attacks, which can usually be used either when the allies have low health or when the battle is dragging on for a long time. This attack to deal a lot of damage. The damage system can be cracked up to literally incredible levels, one-shotting almost every enemy. Practically all that needed is a bit of luck and ability to think, which is rarely required these days in the era of mind-numbing games focused only on reaction time. The combat system is also affected by the creation of personas in the Velvet Room, which is achieved by fusing several personas into a more powerful persona. These personas must also be selected based on the type of elemental or physical damage that you need. With the right choice of personas, their skill and passives, you can create a persona that will be so useful that it will be with you until the very end of the game. For example, in my case it was with the Neo Cadenza skill, which I created after 20 hours of play and which I used literally at the end of the game, because the skill is completely unbalanced and fire and clear attack skill are very cheap. Regarding skill costs, when you enter the palace your SP meter is will completely full for skill use, and it also needs to be spent wisely. After all, if you run out of SP too quickly, you will either have to use SP potions, which are quite limited in the game, or leave the palace after clearing only a small part of it. This could result in your wasting an extra day or two clearing the palace when you could have spent the time improving your social skills and connections with your confidants. Therefore, one must constantly balance between effectively clearing the palace and spending as little SP as possible, sometimes even sacrificing a heal to converse SP. The amount of thought the game forces is literally sensational. Perhaps the greatest scientist in history will also fans of Persona series. Oh yeah, Mementos is definitely worth clearing when one's calling on you to improve social links, and it's best to complete several requests at one time to avoid going there if these don't have absolute necessary. And that's all I really want to say about Mementos. The bosses are also very interesting, requiring you to develop your own tactics for each one, with a proper understanding of the mechanics and a decent leveling. They're quite simple with the exception of one of them. Each palace's gameplay is also unique and has their own style, and this is very nice. Game constantly offers something new throughout its entire runtime, such as unique enemies or completing palaces by solving unique puzzles. The conclusion here is that the Persona 5 combat system is very deep, even a little too deep. For example, when I watch speedruns, the damage that speedrunners inflict even without strong leveling up is simply amazing. I just don't understand how they so often do so much damage. The value of properly constructed combat tactics is almost absurd, and this is simply excellent, and this is the depth of gameplay that we all need.
Messiah Picaro! You're mine! Persona! Get wrecked!
Shadows annihilated!
It's hard to describe how stylish Persona 5 is. It's something you can only see, but you can only fully understand it by playing yourself. The level of detail in the style, graphics and sound is simply unbelievable. The game is based on incredibly well-made 3D models in an anime style, something almost no anime studio can achieve, even with huge budgets. In almost all anime 3D models are simply terrible, but in Persona they look very harmonious. But the most amazing thing is that the game combines 2D and 3D styles along stylized animations and menus, and their harmony is perfect. There's never a feeling that one style is interfering with the others. The work that went into the game's harmony is colossal. The game also features animated 2D cutscenes, even they are top-notch. Each cutscene is absolute cinema. The animations and graphics are flawless. Every time I saw one, it took my breath away. Even the game's opening title sequence is so cool and stylish that I've watched it 100 times. The original game has a different title sequence that was also incredibly stylish. The original version of Persona 5 has rather poorly rendered textures, as the game was originally released on PS3. However, the royal version of the game has increased the texture's quality to the highest possible level. This means you can literally stare at any texture and it will still look high quality. Thanks to this and its stylized design, the game hasn't aged a day. It's also worth mentioning how beautiful and unique every character in the game looks. Each one has their own clothing style and everyone is dressed tastefully. The palaces are no worse. As I said, each palace has its own style and most of them are incredibly aesthetic, and you can admire some of them for hours. And the personas also look unique, very beautiful and extremely aesthetically pleasing, especially the personas in the later stages of the game. Also, the Baton Pass, all-out attack and showtime mechanics look very cool too, but what's most surprising is that they all have different animations depending on the characters that use them. The game has such an absurd number of animations that even menu navigation has several different variations. The menu itself features incredibly smooth animations, and their quality and aesthetics are also incredibly high. The game's sound is also very rich, with almost every action having its own unique sound. For example, each awakening of a character happens differently from each character with its own animation and unique cool sounds. The music in Persona 5 is very various. There's plenty of good upbeat music, relaxing music and plenty of enough sad tracks. This is certainly subjective, but the person who created the music in Persona 5 deserve all the praise they've received. The variety of sound is also enormous. There's a line for every persona in the game. There are so many that there are even several variations of the word persona itself. The voice actors are also very well chosen. You can tell who said it based on just a couple of lines spoken by a character. Even the intonation of many characters' voices is perfectly matched to their personality. For example, Richie's line will be memorable. There's a lot of advantages of design and sound design that I haven't listed, but even these advantages are enough to surpass more than 90% of games, films, anime, and TV series in these aspects. The plot in Persona 5 is one of the most intriguing and touching I've ever seen. I won't go into too much plot detail to avoid unnecessary spoilers for those who haven't played it yet, but trust me, it's an incredibly good story, so unique that I don't even know of like stories it in other games or films. I will tell you about the first house of the game, which won't spoil the plot for you too much, since the game is very big and there's a lot of plot in it. The game begins in a casino, where after escaping the protagonist is captured and wakes up in an interrogation room on November 20th. This interrogation is crucial. We'll be returning to this date throughout the game, and for good reason. Most of the game will show how our hero ended up here, and almost the entire game is the events before the interrogation room, which can already be realized after just a few hours of play. Because our hero hit a high ranking official, he was put on a register, which forced him to move to another school and spend a year rehabilitation. This means that the system of grading social skills is also justified by the storyline, since everyone initially treats us with neglect because of our criminal records, and we need to improve in eyes of others. And everything would have been simple if one day an ill-fated app didn't instill the phone of our hero. It was because of this that he afterwards found himself in a region in the Meta-world and seeing the palace for the first time, in which main character awakened his persona. As the story progresses, you meet almost all of the confidants. All of them will reveal part of their identities, and many of the lies has a very sad fate in the past. The game will have a lot of funny moments, there will be a lot of shocking scenes, and also quite a lot of sad moments that will hit you right in the heart. There are even plenty of moments where the game has a rather chill vibe. Persona 5 never lets you get bored. But most importantly, remember, what you see on November 20th and a few days after may surprise you so much that you will be incredibly shocked by the plot twists. The little details that influence the plot are so mind-blowing, yet simple, that you will fully understand why Persona 5 is truly a masterpiece. You will also understand why our heroes are truly geniuses. I won't even say anything about the end of the game, you must see it all for yourself. Persona 5 was one of those games that was truly enjoyable to play. After just 20 hours of playing, I realized that I didn't want it to the end, even though I knew I had only completed a small part of it. The Persona catched me so much that even before I finished it, I already knew that this would probably be one of the best experiences I ever had. It's rare for games to be so captivating and give so many emotions. Not always positive, but so powerful. And for a game that constantly surprised something new throughout a 100+ hour playthrough, even more so. Although Persona is a game about high school students, the themes it touches on are very adult. It's definitely not a game for children, as many ideas they simply won't understand. This is not a game that I can recommend to everyone, but if it interests you, give it a try. The most significant change in Persona 5 Royal is the addition of first semester, which can be unlocked by fulfilling certain conditions. This is a case of expanded content, elevating an already high quality game to even greater heights. The third semester of Persona 5 feels like a different game. It's strange, cool, and unusual at the same time. Third semester features the best story arc yet, the most interesting villain, reveals the most compelling characters, and adds a wealth of beautiful music. Even the style of game changes in the third semester. I'm not sure you will love the Persona as much as I did, but when I saw the credits after receiving the final ending, I couldn't hold back my tears. I was so sad to say goodbye to this world, my companions, and this magnificent story that I cried for about an hour and a half until I really had no more tears left to cry. I became so linked with this game that I even finished it on the same day the main character was supposed to leave Tokyo. I didn't even try it, that just happened by accident. However, I can't say for sure. Maybe the Persona 5 hasn't changed my life yet, but I really wish it had. I'm already trying to adopt the Joker's lifestyle, doing small but useful things every day. The Joker is a true role model for me. If I ever wanted to be like anyone, it would be him. Thank you, Joker, all my friends, and Persona 5 Royal for everything you've given me. I'm grateful to all of you.